Diana, 34 years old, and 3 weeks ago, I signed away everything I had to my soon to be ex husband. The 5 bedroom house, both cars, the real estate company, all of it. My lawyer begged me not to do it. My mother in law smirked from the gallery seats. Brittany, my husband's 27-year-old mistress, actually took a selfie right there in the courtroom. And Vincent, the man I once thought I'd spend my life with, smiled like he'd just won the lottery. But that smile disappeared exactly 47 seconds later, when his lawyer finished reading the final clause in our agreement. Before I tell you what happened, if you find this story worth hearing, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely want to. And if you're watching right now, drop a comment letting me know where you're from and what time it is there. Now, let me take you back 3 years, to the night I accidentally opened the wrong drawer in Vincent's office. 8 years of marriage, that's how long I spent building a life with Vincent Saunders. From the outside, we had everything. A sprawling colonial house in the suburbs of Houston with 5 bedrooms we didn't need. A Porsche Cayenne in the garage for him. A 12-year-old Honda Accord for me. Dinner parties where Vincent held court while I refilled wine glasses. The perfect American dream, if you squinted hard enough and didn't ask too many questions. Vincent controlled everything about our finances. "I'll handle the money, you handle the house," he told me on our honeymoon. And I, young, in love, desperate to avoid the kind of fights that destroyed my parents' marriage, agreed. Before Tyler was born, I was a senior accountant at a mid-sized firm downtown. I was good at it. Numbers made sense to me in a way people sometimes didn't. But when I got pregnant, Vincent sat me down with that reasonable tone he used when he'd already made a decision. "The baby needs his mother at home. I make enough for both of us." So I quit. Traded spreadsheets for sippy cups, client meetings for playdates. And when Tyler started kindergarten and I picked up part-time remote accounting work to keep my skills sharp, Vincent barely noticed. To him, I was furniture. Useful, present, and utterly unremarkable. He'd check his Rolex Submariner, a gift to himself for closing some deal, and announce he had investor meetings that would run late. His home office stayed locked. The credit card statements went to his email. I had a supplementary card with a modest limit. Everything else was his domain. What I didn't know then, but would soon discover, was that his Rolex was bought on credit and his empire was built on sand. Tyler changed everything for me. My son came into the world 6 years ago with his father's dark hair and my stubborn chin, and from the moment the nurse placed him in my arms, I understood a kind of love I'd never known existed. Fierce, unconditional, the kind that makes you lie awake at night wondering if you're doing enough, being enough. Vincent saw Tyler differently. Our son was a legacy, not a relationship. Something to mention at business dinners. My boy's already showing an interest in real estate, can you believe it? But never something to nurture. Vincent missed Tyler's first steps because of a conference call. Missed his first word because he was traveling. Missed every single school play, every parent-teacher conference, every bedtime story. I remember one evening, about a year ago. Tyler had been waiting by the window for 2 hours, his favorite picture book clutched against his chest. "Mommy, when is Daddy coming home? He said he'd read to me tonight." I texted Vincent. No response. Called. Voicemail. Tyler fell asleep on the couch, still holding that book. When Vincent finally walked in at 11, smelling faintly of cologne that wasn't his usual, I asked if he'd forgotten his promise. He barely looked up from his phone. "I'm building a future for this family, Diana. Tyler will understand when he's older." But I saw my son's face the next morning when he realized Daddy had come and gone without even saying goodnight. That was the night I realized something had been wrong for longer than I wanted to admit. Vincent hadn't hugged Tyler in 3 months. Hadn't asked about school, about friends, about anything. Our son wasn't a priority. He was an afterthought. The night I found out the truth, I wasn't even looking for it. 3 years ago, Tyler had a school field trip coming up, and I needed his passport for some reason I can't even remember now. Vincent usually kept our documents in his office, But that night he'd left for one of his late meetings and forgotten to lock the door. I found the passport easily enough. Top drawer, right where he said it would be. But as I pulled it out, my hand brushed against a folder I'd never seen before. The return address on the top envelope made me pause. First National Bank. Final notice, stamped in red. My accountant's brain kicked in before my wife's heart could stop me. I opened it. 90 days past due. $340,000 outstanding on a commercial property loan. I opened another envelope. Wells Fargo. Delinquent account. Immediate action required. Then Chase. Then a letter from a collection agency I'd never heard of. By the time I finished going through that drawer, my hands were shaking. Not from fear, from the sheer impossibility of what I was seeing. Vincent's empire was hemorrhaging money. The properties he bragged about at parties were underwater. The company that was supposed to be our retirement was drowning in debt. Over $2 million. And he'd never said a word. I sat there in his leather chair for a long time, the papers spread around me like evidence at a crime scene. Then I did something that surprised even myself. I took out my phone, photographed every single document, time-stamped, dated, crystal clear. Then I put everything back exactly as I'd found it, turned off the light, and walked out. I didn't sleep that night, but I wasn't scared anymore. I was calculating. The next morning, I made a phone call to someone I trusted more than anyone, my college roommate Rachel Morrison. Rachel worked at a regional bank. We'd stayed close over the years, the kind of friendship that picked up right where it left off, no matter how long between conversations. She was also the only person who'd ever looked at Vincent and said, "I don't know, Di. Something about him feels off." I should have listened to her then. I was listening now. "I need to run a credit check," I told her, "on myself. And I need to understand what debts might be attached to my name as a spouse." Rachel didn't ask why. She just said, "Come to my office tomorrow. Bring your ID." What I learned over the following weeks confirmed my worst fears and revealed something unexpected. Most of the debt was in Vincent's name alone, or tied to his company. But he'd taken out 2 loans using both our names without my knowledge, forged my signature, or used an electronic version I'd never authorized. "This is fraud," Rachel said quietly, showing me the paperwork. "You could report him." "Not yet." I folded the copies she'd made and slipped them into my purse. "I need to know the full picture first." And so began my 3-year education in financial survival. I opened a savings account at a different bank, one Vincent had no connection to. Every month, I funneled what I could from my part-time work. 200 here, 300 there. I documented everything, saved every email, every statement, every scrap of evidence that crossed my path. Rachel checked in periodically with updates. "The debt's growing, Diana, not shrinking." I wasn't surprised, but I was ready. Vincent had no idea his wife was watching and waiting. A year ago, Vincent started coming home smelling like someone else. It wasn't obvious at first. A hint of perfume that wasn't mine, a text notification he'd silenced too quickly, business trips that seemed to multiply overnight. But I'd spent 3 years training myself to notice everything, and Vincent had grown careless with a wife he considered beneath his attention. The late nights became later. The investor dinners more frequent. He upgraded his wardrobe, $3,000 Tom Ford suits charged to credit cards that were already maxed, while I still wore dresses from 5 years ago. "You should put more effort into your appearance," he told me one evening, adjusting his new silk tie in the hallway mirror. "Brittany, she's a new business associate. She always looks put together. Professional women understand the importance of presentation." Brittany. The name he said too casually, too often. I didn't confront him. What would be the point? I already knew our marriage was a facade. I just needed to know how long I had before the facade crumbled completely. One night, Vincent left his phone on the kitchen counter while he showered. The screen lit up. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Wear the blue tie I like. XOB." I didn't touch the phone. Didn't need to. The preview told me everything. That same week, I noticed him deleting his browsing history, changing passwords, making calls from the garage where he thought I couldn't hear.